Most people have never heard of an H-shaped Barndominium, not because it's new, because it's been hiding in plain sight for 500 years. This one shape solves 5 problems that no straight bar design ever touches. Privacy without isolation, light without a single skylight, a shared roofline that somehow gives every generation their own front door, 2 wings, one connecting spine, and a footprint that grows with your family instead of fighting it. Architects keep coming back to this layout for a reason. Engineers keep recommending it for another. Today we're breaking down both. By the end of this, you'll either be sketching your own H-shaped barndo on the back of an envelope, or you'll know exactly why it's not for you. Both are worth the next few minutes. Let's go. Picture the letter H laid flat across a piece of land, 2 wings running parallel to each other, one connecting spine holding them together in the middle. That's the entire idea, and it's simpler than most floor plans you've looked at this year. The spine is the heart of the home. Kitchen, living room, dining space, the parts of the house where everyone actually gathers. The 2 wings branch off in opposite directions, and each one becomes its own zone. One wing might hold the primary suite in a home office. The other might hold guest rooms, a second living area, or a full apartment for aging parents or adult kids who have moved back home. Here's what makes it genuinely different from a straight bar or an L shape. The wings don't just add square footage. They create separation without creating distance. You can be 15 feet from your teenager's room and still not hear a single word of their phone call. You can host your in-laws for a month and still eat breakfast alone if you want to. That's not an accident. That's geometry doing the social work a hallway never could. Between the wings on the open side of the H, you get a courtyard, not a pool deck, not a mansion feature. A genuinely flexible outdoor room, garden, fire pit, play area, whatever your family actually uses. The wings wrap around it, so it's sheltered from wind on 2 sides before you've spent $1 on landscaping. Modern families keep circling back to this shape for one honest reason. It gives you privacy and presence at the same time, and very few floor plans can actually claim that. 4 of these 5 reasons are about comfort. Light, zones, temperature, flexibility, the things you'd expect from any well-designed home. But reason 3 is different. It's the one that surprises engineers who have spent decades looking at straight rectangles, and once you hear it, you'll understand why this shape refuses to go away. Start with light, because it's the reason most people notice an H-shaped barndo before they understand why they like it. A straight bar home only gets light from 2 long sides. An H-shaped home gets light from 4 separate exposures on every wing, plus the courtyard bouncing extra light back into the spine. That's not a small difference. That's the difference between a hallway that needs a lamp at 2 p.m. and a hallway that doesn't. Architects will tell you this isn't just about windows. It's about depth. Wide, boxy floor plans push bedrooms and bathrooms into the middle of the house, genuinely far from any exterior wall. The H-shape avoids that almost by default. Because the wings are narrow, every room sits close to an outside wall. Every room gets a real window, not a borrowed one. Structurally, this shape is honestly efficient too. 2 narrower wings are easier to frame and easier to roof than one enormous open span. Shorter trusses, simpler load paths, less engineering guesswork on a Barndominium's signature metal roof. Restate that because it matters. Narrower wings mean simpler structure, and simpler structure means fewer surprises during a build. That's not a minor perk. That's months of schedule and real money protected before the foundation is even poured. None of this requires exotic materials or custom engineering. It's the same board and batten siding, the same standing seam roof, the same barndo bones you already know. The shape is just smarter about where it puts them. Reason 2 is where families actually start paying attention, especially families with more than one generation under one roof. Every household has zones, whether the floor plan admits it or not. A parent zone, a kid zone, a guest zone, a work zone. Straight-bar homes force all of these zones to share one long hallway, which means every zone bleeds into every other one. Footsteps carry. Doors slam into shared space. Privacy becomes a matter of closing enough doors and hoping. The H-shape assigns zones on purpose instead of by accident. One wing, one zone. The other wing, a completely separate zone. The spine in the middle stays neutral, shared, communal, built for everyone to cross paths without anyone feeling cornered. This is where the shared kitchen question always comes up, and it deserves a straight answer. You do not need one giant kitchen serving every generation in the house. Most families running this layout add a kitchenette to the secondary wing, a sink, a mini fridge, a coffee station, sometimes a full second kitchen if the wing is built for a parent or an adult child. Separated but connected. Nobody's forced to share a stove with their mother-in-law every single morning unless they want to. Think about what that actually buys a family. Grandparents who visit for 6 weeks without anyone feeling like a guest in their own home. Teenagers who get a version of independence years before they'd get it anywhere else. 2 adults who both work from home and can genuinely close a door. That's privacy and presence, living in the same house, on purpose. Here's the reason engineers keep bringing up that most homeowners never expect. The H-shape is one of the most structurally honest ways to build a large home cheaply. Not cheap in the flimsy sense. Cheap in the sense that the shape itself reduces waste. Big, wide-open Barndominium floor plans need long roof spans, and long spans need heavier trusses, more steel, deeper footings. Costs climb fast once a single room stretches past a certain width. The H-shape sidesteps almost all of that. Because it's built from 2 narrow wings joined by a connector, you get the square footage of a much larger home without ever needing a truss span that pushes your budget into a different category. Say that a different way. You can build genuinely big 4 bedrooms, 2 living areas, a home office, a courtyard, without paying the structural premium that size usually demands. The shape spreads the square footage out horizontally instead of stacking cost vertically into oversized spans. There's a second layer to this surprise, and it's about resale flexibility. An H-shaped wing can function as a mother-in-law suite, a rental unit, a home business, or a guest wing, sometimes all in the same decade as a family's needs shift. Try converting a single great room into a private income unit. It's genuinely difficult. Converting an already separated wing takes a fraction of the work. So the shape that looks like an aesthetic choice from the outside is actually an engineering shortcut and a financial hedge, wearing a barn roof. Reason 4 is the one cold climate viewers should lean into, not scroll past. 2 narrow wings create something a single wide box can't. Cross-ventilation on every side in every room. Open a window on the east wall of one wing, a window on the west wall of the other, and air actually moves through the connecting spine instead of stagnating in one giant space. In warm months, that's a genuine reduction in cooling load before a single fan turns on. Now, the honest cold climate answer. This shape isn't warm climate only, even though it looks like it belongs in Texas or Georgia. Northern builds adapt it with tighter window-to-wall ratios on the north-facing wing, heavier insulation packages in the connecting spine, and steeper roof pitches sized correctly for snow load. None of that changes the shape. It just changes the details inside the shape. The courtyard actually helps in cold climates too, not just warm ones. Wrapped by 2 wings, it blocks prevailing wind from reaching the spine's main entry, which matters more in January than anyone expects until they're the one shoveling a wind tunnel. Restate it plainly. The H-shape isn't fighting your climate. It's giving your climate more surfaces to work with, and a good architect adjusts the glass, the insulation, and the pitch to match wherever you're actually building. Reason 5 is the one that convinces people who have been sketching this exact shape on napkins for years without knowing what to call it. Families don't stay the same size or shape for 40 years, and most homes force you to move every time yours does. The H-shape is one of the rare layouts built to age alongside you instead of against you. Think through the stages honestly. Early on, one wing is a primary suite and the other is nursery and playroom, both close enough to hear a crying kid at 2 a.m. A decade later, that same second wing becomes bedrooms and a homework zone, far enough away that a teenager actually gets some independence. Another decade, and that wing turns into a suite for aging parents, or a semi-private space for a young adult child who's back home saving for their own place. Eventually, it might become a guest wing, a rental, or a quiet studio for a retirement hobby nobody saw coming. One shape. 4 completely different chapters of a family's life, without a single addition or teardown. That's the real argument for building this way, even for families who can't afford the full version today. This isn't a "you must build this now" video. It's a build for the future, even in phases video. Frame one wing first if the budget demands it. Add the second wing in 5 years. The shape still works, generation after generation, phase after phase. This channel doesn't sell plans, and it won't pretend this shape is right for everyone. 3 trade-offs honestly before you get attached. First, cost and land. An H-shape needs more perimeter wall, more roofline, and more foundation footprint than a simple rectangle holding the same square footage. On a tight or narrow lot, 2 wings and a courtyard simply might not fit. This is genuinely a wider lot design, and pretending otherwise would be dishonest. Second, design difficulty. This shape is proportionally sensitive in a way straight bars aren't. Get the wing lengths wrong relative to the spine, and the house reads as awkward instead of intentional, too skinny, too sprawling, or oddly top-heavy from the street. This is not a floor plan to freehand from a napkin sketch and hand straight to a contractor. Commission it properly with an architect who understands proportion, or don't do it at all. Third, site limitations. Steep slopes, heavily wooded lots, or irregular property lines can make an H-shape's footprint genuinely hard to place. A straight bar or an L-shape sometimes just fits a difficult site better, and no amount of love for this layout changes that. None of these trade-offs are secret. They're the actual reason this shape isn't on every street in America, even though architects have understood its advantages for centuries. 500 years ago, English builders were already framing homes in this exact H-plan, 2 wings, 1 connecting hall, long before anyone called it multi-generational living. They weren't solving a trend. They were solving a family, the same way you are. According to the National Association of Realtors' 2026 Generational Trends Report, 14% of all home buyers last year purchased a multi-generational home, and that number climbs to 19% among Gen X buyers most likely to be caring for aging parents while raising kids of their own at the same time. If you've sketched this shape before and didn't have a name for it, that instinct is centuries old and it's proven. Privacy and presence under one roof on purpose. 2 questions before you go. Would an H-shape actually fit on your lot, given what you've got to work with? And out of all 5 reasons today, which one hit hardest for your family? Drop both answers below. Every comment gets read, and I respond personally to as many as I can. Subscribe if you want more breakdowns that go this deep into the shapes that actually work, not just the ones that look good in a thumbnail. See you in the next one.